Hi, everybody. Courage to Change, March 30th. Ooh, I've got a list today. Courage. Let me try it again. Courage to Change, March 30th. When I heard that Al Anon was a program in which we learn to keep the focus on ourselves, I wondered what other people would think of me if I acted on that principle. Surely they would think me inconsiderate, thoughtless, and uncaring. Those were my complaints about the alcoholics in my life. I didn't want to be that way. Instead, I tried to do things for others that seemed loving and generous, even when I didn't want to do them. I couldn't understand why I so often grew resentful after such actions. My efforts to be selfless by trying to please everyone but myself weren't working. The focus was on the response rather than on what seemed right for me to do. There was nothing unconditional about this kind of giving. My sponsor helped me to see that if I paid more attention to myself and to doing what I thought was best, I would be free to give without strings attached. Then I could be truly generous. Today's reminder: the Al Anon program works when I keep the focus on myself, attend lots of Al Anon meetings, and make my recovery my top priority. As I become more fully myself, I am better able to treat others with love and respect. Well, this is a really good reading because when I got to Al-Anon, I didn't realize that my intentions were somewhat manipulative. I'm a very controlling person, and I really want things done a certain way, and if they're not, I redo them. I mean, I'm just that kind of person. And so I didn't realize I was doing things for others for the response. Either I wanted to get the response back about how grateful they were, how how grateful they were, or how good it was done, or how wonderful thank you so much for helping me. I couldn't have done this without you. Because that to me felt like, oh, good. They know how much I love them, right? The problem is if they don't react that way, then I get resentful. Like if I do something and somebody doesn't even acknowledge it, I get resentful. My sponsor asked me one time, there was somebody I was helping, and they said, could you help them do something and not let them know it was you? And I said, why? Why? What's that about? She goes, well, let's just see what happens. And, it was a big alert. It was big because I still enjoyed doing it, but I didn't realize how much I had connected to the outcome. I didn't realize I was that connected to the response, the love, the attention, the gratification that someone needed me, that I had a purpose. You know, um, I didn't realize that until I tried to start doing things anonymously. And so it was really my expectations of their response were just premeditated resentments. That's what they were. They were just a way for me to set up a problem, you know? And the thing that I've really learned that's been the hardest for me is with the people in my life that I'm codependent with, that I'm trying to recover from, when I have done those things and then I respect the reaction, right? It's really disrespectful to them. Like I am crossing every boundary, because in their eyes, it's all your own perception, and in their perception, I'm helping because I don't think they can do it themselves or they can't do it right. And that's the way it's perceived by them. At least, not everybody, but the people that I'm trying to help the most. It's almost like very disrespectful for me to do that. And I've had to learn to mind my own business and leave those people alone. They deserve the right to make their own mistakes. Uh, things come off imperfectly, you know. Um, I don't know where in the world, how old I was, or who told me that I was good at everything and that I knew the right way to do it. No one ever told me when I was young that there might be 7 ways to do something right. There's more than one way to do something. Someone else's way might be just fine, right? And so I had to back up and keep the focus on myself, right? What do I want to do? How do I want to do it? It is fine for me, but I don't need to put that on you, right? Um, the minute that I was told, I was actually told, I was so out there. I was so enmeshed with people. I thought that was love. I really didn't understand that thing. That to me is love, right? And when I was, I'm losing connection again. I was told abruptly to, in this particular person in my life, this woman told me, why don't you leave her alone? Leave her alone. Let her have a break, right? You're just all over her aura, her life, her everything. You're so reactive to the way she responds to things. And if she responds poorly, you feel poorly. If she's really happy, you get really happy. Like, it's so not okay. You need to allow her own feelings. Just leave her alone. And I was like, that felt to me exactly what this book said. That seemed inconsiderate. It seemed selfish. It seemed cold and uncaring. And it wasn't. It was respectful. It was kind. It was considerate. It was healthy, right? And I mean, even this person said to me one time, they said something, and I immediately went into that mode of fixing. And I said, well, you know what you could do? You could do this, you could do this, you could do this, and you know, blah, blah, blah. And if you do that, blah, 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 blah. And they came out and said to me, I did not ask you a question. I just made a statement. And I was like, oh, shit. You know, are people even asking you for help? Because I got to tell you, in my little family and friends, they're not. Unless they're moving and they need help moving, you know, or they're something like that. But no one is really asking me to tell them how to process what's going on in the world, how to, you know, what I think is right and wrong about what's happening. Um, it's just so overwhelming. The enmeshment is just so thick that's why I use that analogy all the time about your own hula hoop, because that to me is like a definite boundary. In my mind, I can see me in a hula hoop. Like, it is separate from the other people, and they have their own hula hoop. I mean, that works so well for me because I can feel it when I've jumped out of my hula hoop into someone else's. And it's usually because they're in despair, they need help, they're hurting. I'm the ultimate empath, right? I can, you know, see, there I go again. I feel like I know. Even like the woman at the grocery store, I can feel her. Are you okay? How are you doing today? You know? She doesn't want to talk to me. She's like, who are you? But I'm looking for ways to like leap into other, you know, like a superhero. And that's because of my own self-worth. You know, there was a poem when I was younger. I saw this poem, and it was about, I have a right to be on the planet just as much as any of the trees, the birds, the plants, right? I I have a spot on the planet, And I don't need to prove that point. I don't need to prove to you that I am good enough to be in your life, right? I don't need to prove it. I am who I am, and I'm not for everyone. That was another big one. I'm not for everyone, right? Even on here, there are people that do not like my blunt, direct approach, the way I speak from my heart. I say it as it is. I was checking out some other codependency stuff last night, and I found this woman, and she's huge. And so I thought, oh my God, how is she helping these people? And it wasn't my cup of tea. But there's obviously like 500,000 people on YouTube that she is their cup of tea. You know what I mean? So that's okay. You know what I mean? That has nothing to do with me. And I think, 15 years ago, that would have really devastated me, and I would have tried to change and emulate that kind of delivery, that perspective. But my experience has different perspective, and everyone in my life has a different perspective. And I found out that when I am in everybody's stuff and I'm not looking after myself, I'm being disrespectful to other people, and I don't want to do that. I don't. When people really want my help, they ask me, and if they don't, I need to button it, and I need to be supportive of what they want to do in their own hula hoop, right? And if I disapprove, I can zip it. My power emoji now, my power sign is not a thunderbolt. It's not a big flame of fire. It's that emoji of the smiley face with a zipper across his mouth. That's my power emoji now. I'm telling you, that should be, zip it, Karen. Just zip it. And you know what that does for me? At first, I felt inconsiderate. I felt rude. I felt cold. Now it feels like freedom because everything works out the way it's supposed to without my help. But I really have had to zip it and just look after my stuff, right? There's something about looking after everybody else's stuff that makes me not have to look at myself. It keeps me distracted. It's like a little baby, when they're crying and you hold up the keys and you go, "Little baby, look over here," and they get distracted. That's kind of me in this helping area. I use it to not do what I'm supposed to be doing, and the feelings that it describes in that reading about feeling inconsiderate, rude, whatever the exact words were. What were they? Good words. Um, let's see. They say inconsiderate, thoughtless, and uncaring. Those are feelings. Those aren't fact. Those are because of my own past. That's because of my history, of my relationship issues way back. That's over, right? Other people might find it refreshing. I'm thinking I'm inconsiderate, and they're thinking, yay, she backed up, right? You've met those people. They're so enmeshed in people's lives. It's like, oh my God. I'd ask her to go to the movies, but she'd have to call her mom. So it's disrespectful. And the reward of getting this and understanding my hula hoop and doing visualizations like I talked about yesterday about grounding yourself and getting centered is I'm okay, right? I'm okay. And I've got a lot to go on. I got a whole hula hoop I could fill full of activities and relationships and hobbies and joy and it's just freedom. Really, it's freedom. So it's a hard concept. When you start this kind of thing and you get out of someone's hula hoop, they are going to hurt, when you quit helping and over helping in areas that you don't belong, it's going to feel like a void to them at first. And then they're like, oh, I can figure this out. I can do this. I'll have to get another job. I'll have to get a cheaper apartment, if mom's not going to pay. Whatever that is, it allows them to grow as a person. And then you're going to feel unwanted and unneeded. And those are issues you get to work through in Al Anon. That's why there is a support group. If this was really simple, we'd all just do it on our own, right? But it's complicated. It's complicated, and it's got to do with our own self-worth, right? So back it up today. Borrow my emoji. Don't get involved in things. Don't say yes so quick. When someone calls and says, hey, we need someone called me the other day and wanted me to speak at an event, and I had to say no. And you know what? They're still going to have the event. Someone else can do it, right? I'm not letting anyone down. I just can't do it. I'm booked. So see what I mean? I mean, it's in my mind. And the better I take care of myself in my recovery, the more helpful I am actually to everyone in my life, right? Without resentment. I don't have to go back and feel like they don't appreciate me. They didn't even say thank you. They didn't send me a thank you note. All the things I would have done, right? So good reading today. I feel a little more relaxed already because I had a big day ahead of me, and I can do everything on my list. I can't do everything on my list, her list, his list, their list. I can't get that done. That's when I start feeling overwhelmed. But if I do my list and let everyone else handle their list, and if they're incapable of handling their list, they will have to figure it out. Because I respect them enough to give them the opportunity to make their own mistakes. Okay? Advanced stuff today. I love you all, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.